So just communicate that my share in XYZ Limited should be transferred to Ivy. What happens after that? So that's a difference.
To add to what he's saying, the trust existed before my grandfather died, and he was the first trustee. And so the benefit I didn't even know we were a beneficiary, but we were, and he was alive and well. You're meeting with him. He didn't say anything. So the will, what it did is that anything that was in his personal name was transferred to the trust to manage and steward for the next generation or the next generations. That was what his intention was. And like I said, this is just public knowledge. So I'll enhance what you have access to if you go to court and so on and so forth. So the will gives power to the trust to execute its mandate in as far as if there's any asset that is not yet been transferred to the trust, which weren't many at the time. He put a majority of his assets in the trust because he was the one who was running it. Then it allows it to that's why it's been able to operate. And the previous trustees were able to, or even the current trustees are able to do their mandate now, even if they don't have, they only got the grant of probate last year, which Wakili, I'm sure, will expand on later on. Yeah.
But also, Ivy, you see, we have the advantage of a trust. You see, you're asking whether to have both a will and a trust. And my answer is yes. But the one advantage of having the trust is the fact that business will continue during your lifetime and after your lifetime. You do not have to rush to court, like what he's mentioning, to activate the control of your businesses or the transfer of properties to your children. It will continue as it was running today. Yeah. Like today, if I was to drop and I have a trust, whatever the law firm business is being done by now my so-called trustee, they will continue running that.
They won't skip a beat.
It doesn't stop. Compared to you not having a will, or you having a will, when you pass on, first of all, we wait for the grieving period to end. Then after that, part of the requirements will be a letter from the chief, and then identifying a lawyer.
But who goes to close my business if I don't have a will? Who knows?
The administrator.
The administrators will do that.
And it can be applied for.
But in this case, you have a will. In this case, we are saying between a will and a trust.
I have a will. I've died. People know.
Yes.
Someone goes to my office and shuts things down. What do you mean?
No, when you have a will...
Well, there's a process.
There's a process.
And this
Nothing
is what
stops.
Explaining.
This is what I'm explaining. Good. And I'm saying you have a will. You have appointed the people we call executors or people who step into your shoes to ensure that there's continuity. So immediately you pass on, they see the announcement in the newspaper, the first order of business is contact the lawyer and contact these executors. So, because everyone sat down in one room when you are writing that will, when you are witnessing that will, they were all there present. So they are aware that there's an actual document. So once you have passed on, and you see, you don't want also to bombard the family by telling them, by the way, he passed on last week, let's have a meeting today. No, you have to wait. Allow people to grieve and all that. May take a year, may take 2, may take 5. But remember, Ivy has a business. What is happening to her business? As we try to figure out the probate process of now activating her intentions and desires and wishes which were put in this document called a will. What happens? So by the time people are finishing the grieving period and going to court, and the court process also is long because there's something called gazettement, and after gazettement where the executors are appointed officially, you have to wait for 6 months before you confirm how you are going to distribute the estate of the person who has died, or the assets, how you're going to transfer as per the wishes on the will. So that's another long process compared to there was a trust. It was already running. You had a trust deed which had appointed Matu and another person to be running day-to-day business. If you die today, imagine they'll continue running this business. Yeah.
A lot of my audience, especially the younger ones, every time I'm talking to them about insurance, like, but we don't care about dying. Like, if you're there, But I want to go back to Matu because we're basing a lot of this conversation on your lived experience, which is very unique. So what happened after that meeting? When you read for everything, that you guys went back home. Yeah, break down to us what happened, because Eliud has made it look like it's simple on his end, but it wasn't as simple for you. What happened?
Well, life changed a bit. Obviously, my grandfather wasn't there anymore, which for me it was bittersweet, because I'm like, in my opinion, I'd have rather had him for a bit longer. But life changed in the sense that now there's an office you have to go. Like, he was already sorting out university for me, for example. So I used to just go take the invoice to his office. It's check is written. You go, no fuss, no fuss, it's done. But now you have to write an email. There's lots of paperwork which you have to present. You have to get invoices. That's something I never had to do before. And it was a weird thing, because now it dehumanized. It was a human process that I was dealing with an individual. Now I'm dealing with a system. So that was really strange. And you don't anticipate, okay, today you're dealing with one person, then maybe they've moved departments or something because they're lawyer. It's the lawyers who are basically running the trust for the time at that time. So today you're dealing with a person, you've gotten to know them, and I'm a relational person. Then you hear this person has moved to this department, so you have to build a relationship with a new person. So it becomes a system that you start dealing with. But if with the right stewarding, it can actually work out very well. So the first, I'd say 3 years, things were quiet. And then what happened is my grandfather died, and he left certain people who were with him, trustees who he was working with. Then when he died, one of them took up a chairman position. Then after a few months, he was appointed into a role in government that was going to making it hard for him to be a trustee as well as that person in government. So he had to retire. So he retired and appointed people who I just were not, in my opinion, were the wrong fit for that role. They were relatives. But the assumption obviously is they'll work well together, it's family. And they're actually close friends of my grandfather. So you assume these close friends of Mzee will take care of Mzee's kids because they loved him so much, or they honor and respect him so much. So that's where some of the challenges started, because you get people who are maybe not used to seeing this resource available, or who are not used to seeing, who maybe even envied Mzee. That's also another thing. Who don't know how to just navigate this whole situation, and people start asking questions, and they want to know, okay, how's the money being spent? Like, where are the resources going? As you saw, the court cases, when they became public, there had been about a year of questions being asked. We need to know, how are you spending this money? Yes, you're paying school fees on time, you're giving allowances, that's fine, you've paid for health insurance, but you have to consult us. You see? So that's where the problem and the challenges started.
When you said people are not used to seeing such resources, is it public information how much Mzee left?
No, it's not as much as they say in the newspaper.
Okay, because I was about to Google. Like, if I Google, what will I see?
So it was good enough to take care of people.
And
businesses, and also there was a lot of businesses that were running, and they were doing well at the time. So where the problem started is when questions weren't being answered.
Okay.
You ask for audit accounts, nothing is given.
Okay.
You ask, why are we shutting down one business, and it has with the right management it can make money, no questions are answered.
Yeah.
I was in university at this time, so I was in USIU, so as long as your fees are being paid, your focus is there.
Yeah.
But I didn't know the battles that my late mom and her siblings were fighting until later on. So this went on where questions were being asked. Then one day, my mom and her siblings just said, we're going to court. We're going to remove these trustees. It's too much. They're not getting what this is. This is not their business. And the challenge with that is, in one of the meetings, one of those trustees actually said, we are in fact the owners of the estate.
Ooh.
They said that.
Ooh.
And that belief, that's when I realized is a problem.
Yeah.
Because if you don't see that you're here and you have, like Wakili said, a fiduciary duty of care to us. If you don't want, you can leave and carry on. So what happened is that now they were running it the way they wanted, taking unnecessary loans, just mismanaging, and just really driving us into the ground. Really driving us into the ground.